If you're looking to just find out what your score is, you don't have to get a hard credit. You don't have to go to a credit union and be like, yo, what's my credit score? Nah, you can literally go to your apps, like so your banking apps. It doesn't matter, Bank of America, Chase, Capital One, it doesn't really matter.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 19 of Rookie Mondays. Today we'll be discussing credit, and it's only right because we just came off the real estate unit, and credit is probably the most important thing you need for real estate. So we want to tell you how to get great credit. We're going to tell you some things about credit you probably never heard before. So I'm excited to start this one. Noski, let's get into it.
All right, bet. So right now, 4 in 10 Americans do not know what makes up their credit score. That means 40% of the country has no idea what's going on. On top of that, right now, credit card debt is at an all-time high of $930 billion with a B, which is crazy because on top of that debt, more people are actually using their credit card because of what's going on with inflation. Since inflation is at an all-time high and people cannot afford stuff that they usually would be able to, they have to put stuff on credit. And on top of that, credit card interest rate is 16.45%. So what does that really mean? Because we just threw a bunch of information at you guys. Let's think about it. If you were to spend $1,000 on credit, which is basically saying you're borrowing $1,000 and you don't pay that back, 16.45% interest, which means you actually owe an additional $164 basically on top of the $1,000. So that is not good news, guys. And that just lets you know that credit is a huge problem in this country, right?
Yeah, it definitely is.
And in order to fix that, we want to make sure we provide you guys with all the information you need to know on why credit is important. So right now, let's talk about what credit is, bro, and how does it work?
Yeah, man, credit is just how they determine how well you could handle debt. All right, so it's just the credit score is just a score that says how well can this person handle debt. That's all it is, and it ranges from 300 to 850. All right, so when you hear people talk about the credit scores, it's in that range. All right, obviously on the higher end, it's like over 700. You should be good with that. Obviously, over 800 is astounding. You know, now what do you need credit for? You need credit for determining, places you live. We already talked about how it affects real estate. You're gonna need it to take out auto loans. You're gonna need it. Some employers actually check your credit when they're talking about giving you pay raises. You need credit for business loans. You will need credit for living expenses because when you're talking about certain utility costs, right? Like your cable, electricity, all that stuff, they check your credit sometimes. So you need good credit score for those as well.
Yep. And at the end of the day, I know a lot of people have confusion with, how is a credit score actually determined, right? Because there's a lot of different information on the internet, obviously. But there are 3 main credit bureaus that you have to look at, right? So Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Those are the 3 largest credit bureaus. So what they essentially do is they take out all the different data and reports that you as a consumer basically have on your file. They take all those different numbers and data, combine everything they have, and that number is called your FICO score. And that is essentially what you were just saying earlier. That number determines all the different interest rate that you get on your mortgages, all the payments that you have for your cars, any type of loan that you want to take, they look at your FICO score. So that's how your number is actually determined from those bureaus. But let's talk about how they actually come up with that number, right? Like how do they come up with the number and what data they're looking at? So what truly makes up your FICO score?
So what makes up your FICO score is 5 things, right? Payment history is 35% of your FICO score. Amounts owed, 30%. Length of your credit history is 15%. New credit is 10%, and your credit mixture is 10% as well. All right, so the first thing we want to talk about when it comes to that is your payment history, because that is the biggest percentage, right? So your payment history makes up 35%, as we said, which is literally just determining how well can this person pay back their debts. So let's say you take out $100 and you have an outstanding balance of $100. They want to see, are you paying this back in full at the end of the month? That's what they want to see. Are you paying it back in full? And they're checking to see if you didn't pay back in full, how late were you? Or how long ago did you take out that debt? Or how many late payments do you have in general, right? These things are what really determine that payment history. So you want to make sure that you're paying back things in full people try to say, oh, pay the minimum balance.
Yeah.
No, pay it back in full. That's how you actually boost your score.
I actually know someone, right, I was working with, and she had an amazing credit score. Her actual score was perfect score, so 850, which is super impressive, right? And she always said, I always pay everything back in full, so that's definitely true. People who say pay back the minimum, there's certain situations and circumstances they have, but if it's up to you and you have the ability to pay it back in full, 100% do it.
And I'm going to say, think about what Newski just said. So he said if you have the ability to pay back in full, you shouldn't be taking out things on your credit card that you can't even pay back in full in the first place. So the rule is, if you can't pay for it with your debit card, don't pay for it with your credit card.
Yep. Shout out to my dad right now, because he actually taught me that when I first started, right? He said debit and credit, they're the same thing. So I actually did not, it was naive of me, but I didn't know the difference until like 4 years ago when I actually started learning this stuff. Because I was like, yeah, it's the same thing. But that actually helped me because I never spent more than I had in my account. Yep. So it was super helpful. But let's just go on to number 2, amount owed, right? So that's 30% of what makes up your FICO score. Essentially, this is really just talking about how much you take on, right? So if your limit on your credit score, let's just say, is $10,000, the actual range that you want to spend on average, right, is anywhere from like 1 to 30%. That's what everyone says. That means that if your limit is $10,000, you want to not spend more than $3,000 on that card. But if you're looking for the best result possible, you want to get anywhere from that 1% to 10% range. And let's just say you have multiple credit cards right now. Make sure you're actually using all those credit cards, even if it's just using one to buy a piece of gum. It does not matter. That $5 or that $2 will make a difference, because your bank will see that, you're still using this card. That means you're still using your limit and you're paying it off, which means you're still responsible.
Yeah, and I want to highlight the fact that, notice Newski said between 1 and 10% of the best scores. He didn't say 0, because if it's 0, that's inactivity. They could shut your account down, right? So I love that you pointed out, like, even if you're buying a piece of gum, great to say. Now, the other percentage, 15%, is your length of your credit history. So they're not talking about how old you are per se. They're talking about
you old heads.
Exactly. They're asking how old are your accounts. And you can actually get an older account by becoming an authorized user, which we'll talk about in future episodes. So I understand young people are like, I just got in the game. That's not fair. Why they count it against me? Don't worry. You can actually lengthen your credit history by being an authorized user.
Yeah, and even if you are young, right? Like, we're not old, right? Like, I think we're still young, bro. So we're not old. Like, if you just got into the credit game, you got a while to get your scores up, and we will be going over factors of how you could actually increase that time span, or actually decrease that time span on how to get a better score. But let's move on to the next one, the actual inquiry, right? So 10%, which is really new credit. So essentially, when you're trying to get a new credit card, or you're trying to apply for that house mortgage, you're trying to get a new loan, whatever it may be, they run an inquiry on you, right? So they want to see all the history that you have, which is what we've been mentioning. So when they do that, 10% basically is saying, that credit score is going to be lowered. But just keep in mind, if your credit score, let's just say, is 650 right now, and they do an inquiry on it and it goes to 600, that doesn't mean it stays there, guys. If you took a car loan out and your actual credit score went down, if you pay back the car loan, it's going to go right back up. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, and hard inquiries, they stay on your credit report for about 24 months. All right, so but eventually they come off, right? So,
yeah.
So I don't want you to be worried. It's like, dang, when you take a hard inquiry rep and it decreases your score, don't worry, it will go back up, as Newski said.
Also, just to let you guys know this little hack, which I think most people know of, but if you don't, if you're looking to just find out what your score is, you don't have to get a hard inquiry. You don't have to go to credit union and be like, what's my credit score? Nah, you can literally go to your apps, like, so your banking apps. It doesn't matter, Bank of America, Chase, Capital One, it doesn't really matter. They actually have your FICO scores there. A lot of the apps do. So just check that out, or go to Credit Karma. That's super easy as well. And I wish we were being sponsored, but we're not, but definitely check that out.
Yeah, and soft inquiries don't affect your score, by the way, for people who are wondering that. Because, there's a difference between hard inquiry and soft inquiry. All right, they don't affect your score. Also, so now the last thing is credit mix, right? You want to make sure you have a good mixture of credit. So you can have credit via credit cards, installment loans, retail accounts, mortgages, finance company accounts. There's so many different ways to, have credit available, right? Different credit lines available. You want to have a good mixture. They like to see that diversity. And if it's not possible for you, okay, cool. just get a credit card and build your credit score that way as best as you could.
Yep. And at the end of the day, listen, if you're a rookie, right, most likely you are if you listen to Rookie Mondays, do not stress it if you never had a credit card before. We're going to go over ways that you can actually start building your credit today right off the bat. So don't stress it, all right? Today, we just want to basically cover what is credit, how a credit score is determined, and what a FICO score is and why it's important. Because this is all information that you're going to need to know if you're really starting your life off. So make sure that you understand all this. Any questions you have, please comment below. Hit us up on Instagram and we got you. If you're still watching, we appreciate you. Thank you. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel and hit that little notification bell because we drop
2 videos a week
and you not want to miss them. Also, make sure you watch the next Rookie Monday episode because we're going to be talking about some serious heat on how you can improve your credit score, and we're going to go over some secrets on different credit cards you guys can get too. So definitely stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
But make sure you check out Wednesday's episode too. Until then, peace.
Peace.